Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another deck profile. Earlier this week, you guys saw the U7 Frieza versus Mono Blue SS3 gameplay. We brought you guys the Mono Blue SS3 deck profile. Now we're bringing you the U7 deck profile, a personal brew that I am a huge fan of. So guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you guys want to help support the channel during this trying time, there are many free ways to do so. You can like the video, share the video, maybe watch an ad. If you want to buy any cards you see in today's video, you can always use my link down below to TCG Player or Beer Collectibles. All those are very free ways to help out. That being said, we're getting into the deck profile. So we have the U7 Frieza leader, a leader that hasn't been very popular in quite some time. This was much more popular probably back in like the set 4-5 days with like Victory Strike and the Tournament of Power chain to go up to Victory Strike. Now we have like tons and tons of ways to go into Victory Strike. But anyways, so if you guys are on the Patreon or if you saw me post about this probably like a month or two ago now at this point, I posted a 5-color Frieza list that played Strength of Legends with Warrior of Universe 7, which is one of the skills on this leader. Treat all U7 cards as if they had no specified cost. It was a really easy thing to do in the deck, but it wasn't super consistent. So with that in mind, I transitioned this list to a red, blue, yellow list. A lot more consistent. Win cons are a bit different. We'll go over that in the deck profile. So activate main on both sides. You discard a Universe 7 card from your hand to draw 2. On the Awaken side, you get the added benefit of being able to tap one of your opponent's battle cards. Always good just for reducing the amount of combo power that they have. And when your life's 4 or less, you untap 2 energy when you awaken. I've done a lot of talking on this channel about how your leader has to be the powerhouse of your deck this format. And that is true, and it's not true for this deck. Like, the leader is your draw engine. He draws you cards like crazy, filters through the whole deck, so it's really good. But he doesn't have like game-ending power on his own, and there's a way we fix that in the deck that I'll talk about as we go on. So we only have 6 multicolors in the deck. You're not often trying to charge multicolor. You actually do have 1-drop plays in the deck that you would rather do on turn 1. But if you don't happen to draw those 1-drop plays, or if you just don't really want to do it, you're able to charge multi-turn 1 if you see Frost Poison, if you see Battle to the Death. You don't really want to charge Zamasu. So the reason we're playing these splits, I would honestly like to play more of each, but they do get clunky in your hand. You know, this isn't Surge Goku where you can pitch Battle to the Death or you could pitch Frost Poison. You kind of have to sit with them in your hand if you don't charge them or if you don't want to use them. So 2-2 split's good enough. Frost Poison is kind of one of those cards where the threat of it is good enough. So as long as you have the 3 energy open, your opponent will probably lose if they tap out for a play that loses to Frost Poison. So even if you don't have it, just showing the threat is really good. Battle to the Death is excellent. It's our only way to self-awaken in the deck at the moment, but it's just such a good card if your leader's yellow, and if you're playing red-yellow, there's no reason not to play it, especially if you can afford it. There's not many 10Ks in the deck, not many extra cards, so with that in mind, it's just really good. Getting rid of the U7 in Vegeta Invoker is excellent. Zamasu Sacred Disbelief, I would probably play 4 of this if it weren't for the fact that you need a certain amount of U7s in the deck to function, but this card is amazing. Like, it is one of the best super combos right now. It shuts down wide boards. The fact that you can always tap down the leader means it's pretty much always going to be live, and sometimes neglecting your opponent their leader draw is just so insane. I would probably definitely play more of this if I didn't have to play a certain number of U7s, but with that in mind, we're going to the red U7 cards. So we are playing 2 Backbone of U7. We do play searchers in the deck that search for U7s, and sometimes, to be honest, this is going to be in your hand from turn 1, and it's pretty much dead unless you're playing against aggro. So you're probably going to pitch on those turn 1s, maybe charge it. So it's good to have a searchable super combo in general. I do like it a lot. The 5 life is a pretty good buff to the card. Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken Son Goku, Concentrated Destruction. It does suck that these things recently just shot up in price, so hopefully they do settle, especially now there are no real premier tournaments at this very moment. But this card's excellent. You don't really get to use Activate Main, which is kind of unfortunate. Your leader is not a red card, but we do have Battle to the Death to kind of fix that problem. The board wipe effect is excellent. You know, I probably would play Vegeta, the Exploding Weakness, but our leader is not red once again, so we're not able to reduce its cost to 3. This is great, though, because it does have Deflect. It wipes the board of everything 20 or less. It's really good against a lot of things. It's good against Obuni especially. Yeah, it's unfortunate you can't KO the Obuni while they have tokens, but you get rid of a whole board of tokens, so it does end up kind of plussing you in that regard, and it's obviously discard and charge fodder for the leader. Frieza Double-Edged Sword. This card is part of our main win condition in the deck. I'll give it a quick read. It's a 5-drop 20k. Some of you guys might not be familiar with this card. Permanent. This card can't be played from any area by skills except its own. Activate main, pay 4 colorless. Choose one of your battle cards and one of your opponent's battle cards. The chosen cards get minus 25,000 power for the turn. then play this card from your hand. So for 4 energy, you basically cheat this in for 1 less cost. You do have to minus 25k one of your battle cards, but we do have cards in the deck that are cantrips. They replace themselves, so you don't really care about getting rid of them. And then you get to remove one of your opponent's battle cards, because minus 25k is going to kill most things in the game that are not like super game-ending boss monsters. Anything that's like Obuni or any mid-game kind of beat sticks, this thing is going to remove. Then the other activate main, choose one U7 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. Add this card from your drop area to your hand. So a really cool thing here is that this was kind of made with U7 Frieza in mind. You discard it so you can draw early on, and then at any point later in the game when you need it back, you just pitch a U7, you add it back. So that works out pretty well. Now for the red non-U7s, we are playing 4 Topo Righteous Aid. It just helps so much against aggressive decks. I keep saying Obuni helps against Obuni strategies because they do overwhelm you pretty quickly. So it's just an amazing card, generates a cheap body. And in this deck, you draw a whole lot of cards. So the discard is not really too bad. You'll often have like anywhere from like 10 to 14 cards in the end of this deck. It works out really well. One further introduction Champa, from what I talked about before with your leader being the workhorse of the deck, that's not super true with this leader in the terms of game ending power. So we do want to have the Champa just for when we can't safely go into the battle card. Some matchups, they just literally interrupt every single battle card attack you go with. So the one Champa for the leader ending double strike is really solid. Now for the blue stuff, we're pretty much playing all 4s here except for the UI Goku. So 4 Coercion, 4 Senzu Bean. This is the negate lineup I wanted to go with because I don't think Time Magic is so great right now. You also want to have a good amount of blue charges, and Coercion just giving you energy back is really good. It puts your Senzu Bean online, puts some of your counterplays online. There are a few more counterplays we'll talk about as the video goes on. So Coercion, for me, it's the one I like the most. You could play Nimbus, but I mean, Nimbus isn't really great against the Reboot Gohan deck. It's okay against Boo, but you have other ways to deal with Boo in this deck, so I personally like Whis Coercion. The 4 bean, it's 4 bean, you're playing it. Ready to fight Son Goku. This is our turn 1 play of choice in the deck. Again, it's one of the reasons we don't charge multicolor, but there really aren't any great multicolors to play in this deck, except for the 6 that we are playing. So Ready to Fight just filters through the deck, but more often than not, it's basically going to be discard fodder for the leader. You're also going to want to set this up to use with the double-edged sword Frieza. This is going to be your prime target for giving minus 25 because it's replaced itself already. You don't care if it leaves the field. It's just really good in that regard. And you are playing a certain amount of U7s, so it is likely to hit most of the time. 2 UI Goku the Unstoppable. It's a good counterplay card. It is getting reprinted in the summer, so that's pretty nice to know that it will be cheaper pretty soon. But basically answers most of the big boss monsters in the deck. We do have to compromise in the form of counterplay, because we don't have access to too many dual colors. So you do want to be able to play the counter plays that you're able to play. There are a few more in the deck that we will talk about. 4 Master Roshi Forge of Will. It's a good card to have in the deck. It's a U7. It's a really easy card to play in that sense because at worst it's a negate. Now the thing with the U7 lineup is there aren't too many stellar standalone U7 cards, so you kind of got to play what you can, but this is a much slower deck. You are pretty much a control mid-range deck, so there are going to be a lot of turns where you have just excess energy. You want to get the negate down. You don't want to deal with the double strike. You don't want to deal with the critical. You want to defend early damage as efficiently as possible, and Roshi is really good for that. Mutaido's Skill of Sage is one of those points I was just talking about where you have to make a compromise for your counterplays. Now, we can't really play Champa the Trickster reliably because, like I said, we're not always charging multi-turn 1. Odds are we won't even have a multicolor in our opening hand. So Mutaido is still really good because the majority of things you want to hit with Champa the Trickster, Mutaido still hits. Think about Gogeta 7. They're playing it on 5. Think about Cell Xeno and the Super 17 9-drop successor. Think about the red-blue Secret Rare Victory Strike. Those are all things being cheated in above their cost. So even though Mutaido only hits things that are greater than your opponent's energy, it's still really good. And for 1 energy, it is quite efficient. So that works out pretty well. Grade 8 Bardock Raider's Warcry at 4. This wasn't in the original version of the deck. In the original version of the 5-color, I was actually playing the green Zamasu engine from Draft Box 4. But now that we cut all the green stuff, we have room for the Grade 8 Bardock Raider's Warcry. It is just the best yellow card you can play. Again, you are a slower deck. The first few turns of the game, you're probably not really tapping much energy offensively. Turn 1, you might use Goku Ready to Fight. Turn 2, you're probably leaving it up for Raider's Warcry. Turn 3, 4, you're going Raider's Warcry, then you're going your Topos to defend. And then on turn 5 and beyond, you're looking to drop Frieza Emperor of Universe 7 as much as physically possible. This is the main win con of the deck. Back in the day when they played U7 Victory Strike, they played this in tandem with the Victory Strike chain, and it just caused a ton of 10Ks to be in the deck. caused a lot of clunks, so you were kind of weak against aggro. This has a lot more defensive capability, obviously because new cards have come out, but also because there are less clunky cards in the deck. This card is one of my favorite boss monsters in the game. I'll give it a quick read for those of you guys who are unfamiliar. So it EX evolves for 1 colorless over a U7 Frieza of 5 or more. That's our Frieza double-edged sword. You place a U7 card from your hand in the drop area to EX evolve it. It has triple strike. It has a permanent that says if your leader is yellow, your opponent's counter skills and non-keyword auto/activate skills cannot be activated unless they place 1 card from their life in their drop area. So this is where the control comes in. You're basically telling your opponent, okay, you can do whatever you want, you can activate your effect, but you're going to crit a life if you do so. A lot of times you're either forcing them to crit a life just to remove this card if they have the removal to do so, or you're forcing them to no longer use their leader draw, no longer get their super combo effects. It's just a really, really powerful win condition. I'm a huge fan of this boss monster, and it works out great in the deck. And then for the last 2, basically secret rares, we do have Smoke Dragon, an actual secret rare, and we have Fu Shrouded in Mystery. This card just wins you games. Any long game deck that's not playing Frost Poison, this card kind of just destroys them. Like, it was really good in the mono blue matchup. It's really good against blue green hand control if you can get there. It's just a super powerful card. We're playing it as a 1-of in the deck. So guys, that's the 50 cards. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is a deck that I'm a huge fan of. If there were premier events going on right now, I'd probably play this at a big tournament. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time.